To find the total, add two numbers such as 8 and 5 to get 13. Please add the values in the three cells to obtain the final sum. To shift the graph upward, add a constant of 4 to the function. You can add a comment beside the calculation to explain your method. The developers will add a feature that lets users draw geometric shapes. Clear examples add value to the lesson by making each rule easier to understand. To find the difference, subtract one number from another. To center the dataset, subtract the mean from every observation. Subtract the cost from the sales revenue to calculate the profit. The teacher will subtract points if a student omits the units. The cashier must subtract an amount of $10 from the bill. Businesses subtract expenses from income to determine net earnings. To calculate 7 times 6, multiply two numbers and obtain 42. Multiply by a constant of 3 to enlarge every coordinate equally. First multiply the variables x and y, and then simplify the product. Bacteria can multiply rapidly when warmth and food are available. Strong winds may multiply the effect of the cold temperature. Driving too fast in heavy rain can multiply the risk of an accident. To find half of 18, divide by 2 and get 9. Use the fraction bar to divide two numbers, with the numerator above the denominator. Divide the total of 60 equally among the 5 teams. The instructor will divide a group of 20 students into 4 teams. The partners divide the workload so that each person completes half. The architect used walls to divide an area into 3 smaller rooms. Add the 5 scores and divide by 5 to calculate the average. We count the favorable outcomes to calculate the probability of rolling a 6. Multiply the price by the quantity to calculate the cost of the order. Use the coordinates of the 2 points to calculate the distance between them. Enter the formula in the spreadsheet to calculate the result automatically. The accountant will calculate the tax by applying the correct rate to the income. Substitute x equals 3 into the formula to compute the value of the function. Apply the power rule to compute the derivative of x cubed. The program can compute the average of thousands of test scores in seconds. The navigation system uses satellite data to compute the distance to our destination. The calculator will compute the result after you press the equals key. The software can compute the cost from the hourly rate and time worked. Isolate the unknown on one side to solve an equation such as 2x plus 3 is equal to 11. Draw a diagram to solve a problem involving the area of a triangle. Subtract 5 from both sides and then divide by 2 to solve for x. She arranged the numbered pieces carefully to solve a puzzle. The detective compared the clues to solve a mystery about the missing painting. The leaders met urgently to solve a crisis that had closed the city's hospitals. Combine like terms to simplify an expression from 3x plus 2x to 5x. Divide the numerator and denominator by 4 to simplify a fraction from 8/12 to 2/3. Cancel the common factor on both sides to simplify the equation. The new online form will simplify the process by reducing 10 steps to 3. Please simplify the language so that younger readers can understand the instructions. Combining the two approvals will simplify the procedure for new applicants. To solve x squared minus 5x plus 6, factor a polynomial into x minus 2, x minus 3. Take out the greatest common factor to factor an expression such as 6x plus 9. We can factor a number like 12 into 2 by 2 by 3. Before choosing the cheaper looking plan, factor in the cost of maintenance. Investors should factor in the risk of losing money before buying the stock. Economists factor out inflation to compare the real value of wages over time. Use the distributive property to expand an expression such as 3x plus 4. Multiply every term carefully to expand a polynomial product. To rewrite 2x plus 5, expand the brackets and obtain 2x plus 10. The owner plans to expand a business by opening 2 new stores. The updated sensor will expand the range from 50 meters to 100 meters. Reading advanced textbooks can expand your knowledge of mathematics. Substitute 4 for x to evaluate a function at x equals 4. Follow the order of operations to evaluate an expression such as 6 plus 2 by 5. The researchers will evaluate the results to see whether the treatment worked. The coach uses speed and accuracy to evaluate performance after each game. The jury must evaluate the evidence before reaching a verdict. The city will evaluate the impact of the new bus route on traffic. Use calculus rules to differentiate a function and find its rate of change. Treat y as a constant when you differentiate with respect to x. We differentiate the equation to obtain a formula for velocity. The examples help students differentiate between concepts that seem similar. Apply the product rule to differentiate a product of 2 functions. A distinctive design can differentiate a brand from its competitors. Use an antiderivative to integrate a function and find the area under its curve. The physicist will integrate an equation for acceleration to obtain velocity. To find the exact area, integrate over an interval from 0 to 5. Engineers will integrate the system with the existing payment platform. The orientation program helps integrate new employees into the company. The school plans to integrate technology into every classroom. We use the Pythagorean theorem to derive a formula for the diagonal. The scientist used the experimental conditions to derive an equation for motion. By combining the 2 identities, we can derive a result for the unknown angle. Readers derive meaning from the words, context, and examples in the passage. Small businesses can derive benefits from lower energy costs. Many local families derive income from fishing and tourism. The student used logical steps and known facts to prove a theorem about triangles. Scientists collect repeatable evidence to prove a hypothesis or show that it is false. She displayed the sales figures to prove a point about declining demand. The security video may prove your innocence by showing you were elsewhere. The new tutoring method may prove effective if student scores improve. Finding an exact solution may prove difficult because the equation is highly complex. Round 3.14159 to 3.14 to approximate a value of pi. A tangent line can approximate a function near the point of contact. Round each number first to approximate the result without a calculator. The builder used material prices to approximate the cost of the renovation. We used the map scale to approximate the distance between the 2 towns. The artist used a circle to approximate the shape of the round fruit. Use nearby known points to estimate the value of the function at x equals 2.5. The simulation repeats the trial many times to estimate the probability of success. The contractor will estimate the cost after measuring the room and pricing the materials. The map can estimate the time required to reach the airport. Inspectors arrived after the storm to estimate the damage to the buildings. The company surveys customers to estimate demand for the new product. Plot several ordered pairs to graph a function on the coordinate plane. Find the x and y intercepts to graph an equation of a straight line. Use a bar chart to graph the data from the class survey. The students graph the relationship between study time and test scores. The scientist will graph the results so the upward trend is easy to see. We graph the changes in temperature across the 7 days. Use each ordered pair to plot the points on the coordinate grid. Plot many nearby coordinates to plot a curve smoothly. The analyst will plot the data on a scatter diagram to reveal any correlation. Use the software to plot a graph of population against time. The hikers used a map to plot a route around the flooded valley. The team met before the match to plot a strategy for defeating its opponent. Place the center of the protractor on the vertex to measure an angle. Use a ruler to measure the distance between the 2 points. The carpenter used a tape measure to measure the length of the board. The company uses sales and customer satisfaction to measure performance. Weekly quizzes help the teacher measure progress throughout the course. Researchers compare the 2 groups to measure the impact of the program. The confidence interval helps quantify the uncertainty around the estimate. A correlation coefficient can quantify the relationship between 2 variables. The model uses historical losses to quantify the risk of the investment. The report uses emission data to quantify the impact of the new policy. The study uses savings and productivity gains to quantify the benefits of automation. Insurance inspectors record repair costs to quantify the damage after the flood. To test the formula, substitute a value of 2 for x. Take y equals 3 and substitute into an equation to find x. Use the first formula to substitute one variable for another in the second formula. If you have no butter, substitute an ingredient such as olive oil. The coach decided to substitute a player who was too tired to continue. The store may substitute one product for another when the requested item is unavailable. Add the 2 equations together to eliminate a variable and solve the system. Multiply the second equation by 2 to eliminate an unknown through subtraction. Multiply both sides by 6 to eliminate the denominator from the equation. The editor checks every figure twice to eliminate errors from the report. The factory reuses leftover material to eliminate waste. A dominant company may lower prices temporarily to eliminate competition. Reflect its entries across the main diagonal to transpose a matrix. Students sometimes say transpose an equation when they move a term to the opposite side and change its sign. To isolate x, transpose the terms so all x terms appear on the left. A typist may transpose 2 letters and write form instead of from. The musician will transpose a song into a lower key for the singer. Use the paste option to transpose the data from rows into columns. Apply row operations to invert a matrix and obtain its multiplicative inverse. Swap x and y and solve for y to invert a function. To divide by 3/4, invert a fraction to 4/3 and then multiply. Click the sort button to invert the order from largest to smallest to largest. The lens can invert the image so that it appears upside down. The accessibility setting can invert the colors, turning white areas black. Divide the vector by its magnitude to normalize a vector to length 1. Convert the values to a common scale to normalize the data before comparison. Apply a transformation to normalize a distribution that is strongly skewed. The 2 governments reopened their embassies to normalize relations. A peace agreement may normalize relations between countries after years of conflict. Restoring electricity and clean water helped normalize the situation after the storm. To estimate the missing temperature at noon, interpolate between two values recorded at 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. A polynomial can interpolate a function exactly at the selected data points. The software will interpolate the data to fill the gaps between measured points. Analysts interpolate missing values by using nearby observations. Use the known coordinates to interpolate a curve that passes through every point. The program can interpolate additional points between each pair of measurements. We extrapolate from the data to predict sales beyond the observed months. The analyst will extrapolate a trend line 5 years into the future. The model uses the current growth rate to extrapolate future values. Researchers should be cautious when they extrapolate the results from 50 participants to an entire country. Managers often extrapolate from experience when no current data are available. It is risky to extrapolate beyond the range covered by the original measurements. Differentiate and test the critical points to minimize a function. The regression method chooses the line that will minimize the error between predicted and observed values. The company compares suppliers to minimize the cost of raw materials. Diversifying the portfolio can minimize the risk of a large loss. Firefighters acted quickly to minimize the damage to nearby homes. The roadwork will occur at night to minimize disruption to daytime traffic. Find the critical points and endpoints to maximize a function on the interval. Choose the best combination of variables to maximize the value of the objective function. The factory adjusts production levels to maximize profit. The new schedule assigns tasks carefully to maximize efficiency. Athletes balance training and recovery to maximize performance. Students join internships and professional groups to maximize opportunities for future employment.